Today we are going to study a very important concept from mathematical logic, which is called a conditional statement or implication. A conditional statement or implication is a compound statement formed by using the connective if-then between two simple statements. That means when we join two simple statements using the words if and then, we obtain a conditional statement. Mathematical notation in words. Now let us understand this in mathematical language. If P and Q are two statements, then the conditional statement is spoken as P implies Q, and it is read as if P then Q. That means if P happens, then Q must happen. Meaning of P and Q. Now listen carefully in this statement. P is called the hypothesis or antecedent. Q is called the conclusion or consequence. In simple words, P is the cause and Q is the result. Description of the concept. Now let us understand the most important rule. A conditional statement is false only when P is true and Q is false. That means a conditional statement becomes wrong in only one situation, when P is true but Q is false. All other cases. In all other cases, when P is false, or when both P and Q are true, the conditional statement remains true. This logic is used in real life as well, in promises, in rules, in computer programs, and in conditional decision-making. Note, remark, different wordings. Now remember one very important point. The statement P implies Q can be spoken in many different ways, but the meaning remains the same. For example, minus P is sufficient for Q, Q is necessary for P, minus P implies Q, Q follows from P, P only if Q. The wording changes, but the logical meaning does not change. The logical meaning always is, if P happens, then Q must happen. Truth table for conditional statement in words. Now let us understand the truth table in words. When P is true and Q is true, the statement is true. When P is true and Q is false, the statement is false. When P is false and Q is true, the statement is true. When P is false and Q is false, the statement is true. So there is only one case in which the statement is false, when P is true and Q is false. Daily life example. Now let's take a simple daily life example. Statement: if I reach the station on time, then I will catch the train. Let P I reach the station on time, Q I catch the train. If I reach the station on time but still miss the train, then the promise is broken and the statement becomes false. In all other situations, the statement remains logically true. Sports-related example. Now let us take a sports example. Statement: if the player hits the boundary, then 4 runs will be added. Let P, the player hits the boundary, Q, 4 runs are added. If the boundary is hit but no runs are added, then the rule is broken and the statement becomes false. Otherwise, the implication remains true. Daily life analogy. Security system. Now think of a security system. Statement: if the motion sensor detects movement, the alarm will ring. Let P, the sensor detects movement, Q, the alarm rings. If movement is detected but the alarm does not ring, then the system is faulty and the statement becomes false. Otherwise, the rule remains logically intact, which means the statement is true. Final conclusion. So remember one simple rule. A conditional statement is false only when P is true and Q is false. In every other situation, P implies Q is true. With practice, logic becomes easy, clear, and enjoyable.